Okay, well, Mike, when he gets in here, we'll have everyone. So I'd like to welcome everyone to the May 20th facilities meeting, and we'll call it to order. Could I have an approval of the April 15th minutes?
So moved.
Second? Oh, he says yeah. Okay. Second, and any questions, comments? They look good to me. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Approved. Thank you. Okay. There he is. Mike, we just approved the minutes without you.
Hello.
Hello. We approved the minutes without you, sorry.
So
I already
moved. Oh, what?
started.
No, just kidding.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to old business, starting with the energy performance Giza contract update and the phase 1B approval.
Sure, and for those of you that attended the construction update meeting, this will be a bit repetitive, but just quickly for phase 1A, the chiller is obviously up and running at this point. I was over there today after our meeting, and it's performing quite well, almost too well. We need it to be a little hotter to see what kind of load we can stress it with. But so far so good. Lighting is not quite underway. They are taking receipt of all of the lighting materials into storage containers that are in the Ed Center parking lot. We did hear today that there was a delay on the material for the exterior pole lights, and they came back with an alternative light that actually improved our warranty period from 5 to 10 years and was just as bright and cast as the same number of lumens. And it actually had better energy savings than the original fixture. So we're gonna go ahead and go with those. It's, I think, a 4-week lead as opposed to an 8 or a 10-week lead on the original fixtures. So that work will get started. Essentially with lighting, you're gonna get started with the exterior lighting retrofits soon. Hopefully as early as next week, and the interior lighting retrofits will start once the classrooms are unoccupied.
And did I also hear that the alternative lights are more expensive, but they're not going to pass that cost through to us? Is that what I heard him say?
Correct. They are more expensive, and Noresco is going to absorb that cost. Yeah.
Yep. That's nice of them.
Yes, agreed. The roof repair at Marlborough. I'm sorry, Mike, did you say something? No, I thought I heard something.
He's muted.
The roof repair at Marlborough, they performed a water test a few Wednesdays ago and were able to identify where the leak is. It's basically at the ridge of the standing seam metal pointed roof. They made a repair, I believe about 30 feet long or so, and now we're waiting out this drought to see if we can, if it's going to rain at all, and whether the repair will be effective. So this is just a pilot repair. We know the exact room at Marlborough that we need to check to make sure that there are no leaks, and if we're successful, then they'll just replicate that repair for the length of the ridge cap. Weatherization and air handler repairs are both pending. They're really going to be summer activities at this point. The weatherization, I think, is only going to take 2 or 3 weeks to complete. The air handler repairs at the high school are still going through layers of Noresco engineering. So we're just waiting for that process to finish itself out. We got the executed construction work order for 1B today, so that's fully executed. It was countersigned by Noresco and delivered back to us. Construction meeting in a few weeks to kick off phase 1B. And in terms of what work will get done this summer, it's primarily going to be asbestos abatement. We're actually expecting the asbestos abatement numbers tomorrow, and they will scrub those numbers and hand them over to Provident and ICS, I believe, on the 28th, and then we'll be able to see those. work on the reheats in the 100 and 200 wing of the high school there. And, potentially some work on rooftop units, the units that serve the Augs gym, the hail damage units, things like that. There's not really a delay, but if you think about the timeline, we just signed the construction work order. Now they have to get subcontractors under contract, and they have to order materials, which could be, 6 to 10 weeks. And, it's really the 1A work is the work that's going to occur this summer with some 1B work. The 1B work will extend through the fall, potentially the spring, and the lion's share of it will be next summer. So certainly the expense of 1B is going to be spread out over probably a school year and a half. Other than that, I know, Melanie, you were on the meeting today. Was there any questions that you had or anything?
No, not really. And I'll actually be in person next time. It'll be a lot easier to hear.
Yeah. I didn't realize you weren't coming in. We could have done something a little better, but.
Yeah, I just couldn't. I did a lot of work while I sat there listening. So that's
Understood.
Yep.
So that's really it. I can say I do appreciate everyone's support for 1B. It, I know, came with a hefty price tag, but it really sets us up nicely for continued sort of renovation and renewal of the high school, starting with the infrastructure, and the combination of 1A and 1B really will improve the indoor environmental quality in that school. Everything from heating and cooling to noise to lighting, vibration, all those things that you think of when you think of IEQ versus IAQ. And if you believe all the studies, it improves student outcomes. So, I think it's a win all the way around. So I appreciate everyone's support of that second phase there.
Yep. We know things need to be done and it's time to do them. So, yep.
Yep, agreed.
And thank you.
You want me? No, I think that's it. Any questions?
Sorry. I forgot I'm running this meeting. I forgot. Anybody?
No questions.
Okay. Peg, Dana, George. Okay, I don't see anybody piping up, so we'll move on to the Monco class system replacement update.
So this is the system that will ultimately replace our panic buttons in the schools and in the Ed Center. We have 2 panic buttons in each of the 6 facilities. We got a revised quote from ISS, which is the county sanctioned service provider. And it includes let me back up just a bit. I asked them to look at a direct dial to state police in addition to their kind of direct connection into the county. Because I wanted to, cut down on that, the repetitive notifications or the repetitive phone calls. So their system as it's designed right now, you push the panic button and it goes directly to a dispatcher, in Eagleville where their 911 center is. But if it's an area served by state police, then they have to pick up the phone and call the local barracks, and skip back in this case. What I had asked ISS to look at was, could dual notifications go out simultaneously? So can it notify the Montgomery County dispatcher, but also auto dial into either one of or 2 of the state police barracks that we deal with? I did confirm that state police would accept an automated kind of robocall that announced the panic button had been pushed and say the school name and the address, and they both confirmed that they would accept that. So the quote that we have before us is just under $54,000, and that is for 2 panic buttons in each facility, 12 panic buttons in total. And it includes the auto dialing to state police. That's about a $10,000 feature. So we're not committed at this point. that's sort of our worst case scenario at this point. And that 54,000 includes the first year of the service agreement. Ongoing beyond the first year, there's two options for service. One is about 12 to 13,000 a year, and one's about 4,000 a year, depending on what level of service we want. And I'm still trying to absorb the differences there. I know there's two tests per year versus one test, help desk support versus no support. There's some differences that I still need to vet through. I do know, just for an example, like Perkiomen Valley just inked their agreement to go with this system. In talking to my colleague there, they actually made the decision to not necessarily replicate their panic buttons one for one. So they're putting in 13 panic buttons in 8 schools. So it's something we would potentially have to look at. Do we need 2 in each facility? Do we need more? Do we need less? And that would impact, the cost, obviously. But the quote we have right now for 54,000 is the 2 in each first year of service agreement and installation by them with auto dialing through the state police simultaneously with the connection to Montgomery County Dispatch. Jim Roth and I have been looking at another system, but we don't have a full command of the pricing yet. So we'd like to continue to vet that system over the next 2 or 3 weeks to see if it's comparable and where that pricing would come in. At the end of the day, though, there are no other systems that have this direct connection to Montgomery County's dispatch center. So any other system that we potentially choose would not have that feature, and there would be an inherent delay in notifying a call taker first, who would then notify a dispatcher versus notifying a dispatcher directly. So most of the school districts, from what I understand, are going with this ISS product called Alertus that does have the direct connection to the dispatch center. So kind of more to come on that. The deadline is the end of this year. We have to have something in place to replace the existing systems by the end of this year. The IU was pushing Montgomery County to foot the bill for at least the connection part of the system. And I guess after a month or 2 of negotiations, they ultimately declined to pick up that cost or subsidize it in any way. So all of that cost comes to the school districts. It goes from 0 per year to the numbers that I just stated. There's a lot of upset people, myself included, but I'm not as I'm over it a little bit, but so that's the update on that system.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Is there anything that messes up or is there any complications because we're kind of technically 2 counties?
No, we, well, yes and no. So it's a little more complicated, Mike. So the dialer, for example, that we would put in at Hereford would have to go to the Reading barracks versus, Skipback barracks, because it's 2 different troops. One's Troop K and one's Troop L. The Montgomery County, though, has committed to taking a signal from Hereford in addition to that dialing going out as the system exists today. In fact, they were the individual that runs the county dispatch center was actually surprised that we had panic buttons in Hereford. And we had to physically test them to prove that they were there. And so they committed to status quo, to continue to take that call for us. Maybe East Greenville or somebody would be notified in addition to Reading State Police. My thought is just the more people we notify, the quicker, as quick as possible, the better.
Absolutely.
Yep, agreed. Okay, anyone else have any questions? Okay, I don't see any unmuting going on. So we'll move on to the outdoor basketball courts.
Yeah, so I was able to do some legwork and some research on the outdoor basketball courts. I think primarily the baskets themselves, the nets, the backboards, we could likely rehabilitate those in-house. I don't really see much of an issue there. The surface of the court is a different story. I took a number of photos and sent them over to the company that resurfaced our tennis courts and asked if, just for their opinion and whether they could help us with some type of resurfacing there. And he got back to me and said that in his opinion, it's not in need of a resurfacing. It's basically in need of a mill and overlay like you would see on a street, where they send the truck down and they peel up, some thickness of existing macadam and then put down new macadam, in its place. He referred me to a company, and I had it here somewhere, that does this type of work, Grace Industries. So I have an inquiry into them. We haven't been able to connect yet, but I'm hoping to get a representative from that company out to look at the courts and give us, at least an order of magnitude cost and level of effort to rehabilitate that surface. So that it is on the list. I have been working on it. I just don't have any kind of pricing yet to bring back to the group.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Are there any local companies that do that? Isn't that that?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. But you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Spear excavating, and do they do stuff like that
Lloyd
too?
G. Hirsch.
Yeah, this company that they referred me to is out of Bath, PA. But yeah, I will likely have to get multiple quotes. I think it's going to exceed, the single quote threshold and potentially exceed the bid threshold unless we can find it on some kind of cooperative contract.
I think just for now, and Dana, agree with me or not, we just wanted to get an idea of what it would take, and maybe we can get some
ideas of cost.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Agreed. That's what I'm working towards, just to come back and say, I think it's this range to that range, and
Okay.
then we
That's
can
fine.
make some decisions.
Appreciate that you did that. Thank you. All right. Any other questions on that? Okay, I don't see anybody else popping in. Mike.
Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to item D, middle school maintenance.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pass the baton here to Sandy because she has the best command of this topic by far.
Oh, thanks. So one of my goals before I left was to complete the middle school project. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'll bring you up to date. So in November, we have to move it to maintenance. So in November, I contacted the township and I said, how do I do this? What do we need to do next? At that time, they reached out back to me and he said that we need to have all the improvements need to be completed. What that was on that list is 2 outstanding items, was replacing the dead trees and crack sealing on Montgomery Avenue. Now, the crack sealing can only be done in certain weather conditions, and Doug thought he had someone who could do it basically before winter started, but that didn't work out. What we did though realize is that Pennsburg did the crack sealing on Montgomery Avenue. So what we had to do was a crack sealing on Walt Road, which was done on May 12th, finally.
Yes.
I was very excited. The dead trees have been replaced. So those 2 items have been completed. The township, I need to go back to the township now so we can possibly move into that maintenance, that 18-month maintenance period. But that also, there's one other item, the NPDES permit must be terminated. And that's important too, because that's important to move ahead with the softball field. So in contacting Jim Mazika, there's a couple other things too that need to take place, but in contacting Jim Mazika, in order to do that, the vegetation, the area has to be for the conservation district, like our soil and so forth, there has to be grass. And so we needed to replant some of the area, which they were out. They looked at it 2 days ago. They were supposed to be out or today. And Doug and I do not know if they were out to reseed, and possibly tomorrow to reseed that area. According to Jim Mazika, you don't want to bring them out too soon because they would not be happy if they couldn't, close out and terminate the permit because they don't want to waste their time. So he thinks it'll be 6 to 8 weeks for that seed to germinate, and then we could call them out and possibly terminate that NPDES permit, which stands for National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System. So, and I'll do a write-up for the board on that. And then the other item is a traffic study. If anyone's down Montgomery Avenue today, they actually started. Doug, you were right that those things that are set up were to start on the traffic study. That it was another requirement by the final land development approval agreement that we signed in 2017. So that has started. That needed to be done. That was also kind of iffy. We couldn't do that until we were back in school full time, with all of our students, or giving them all the opportunity to be back. And since we're back 4 days, so we had to wait for that to start until that was the case. And we had to do it before the second week in June when there wouldn't be as many students. So a very tight timeline. They were able to have their traffic engineer to start that study, and that'll be complete. So we're on the way to wrap this up. It seems like the last remaining item that will delay, closing this, it will be the germination of that grass seed. So bring your watering cans because we really need some help with that. So that'll be it. And then we'll be able to at least go into an 18-month maintenance. There'll have to be a security that be established for that. It's roughly about $40,000. The other item that they will maintain is a little over $200,000 until the traffic study is complete, in case a traffic signal is needed at 8th and Montgomery. But if many of you have traveled that, I cannot see any way in the world, and they didn't think there would be either, that a traffic light would be appropriate for 8th and Montgomery. We're close. It's actually coming to closing out that project. And then once we close that out, the school zone signs that are on Montgomery Avenue will become the responsibility of the township. So kind of anxious to have that happen.
So are we, while I'm thinking about it, so are we done with our the big amount of money that they had for us?
We will be, yes. In fact, we did take up most of those funds, but they're still maintaining a large amount. So then I could bring that back to the district. It'll take a little, I'll have to put the request in, their engineers, and so I have to approve it based on whatever documentation we have. I think with the traffic study being close to completion, we might as well, as once that is finished, to make that request at that time, because then it will free up the additional funds. The traffic study includes, well, at least in the original letter, included the timing and the other lights that are on Main Street and on both sides, 8th and then 11th. So I'm not sure if that was done when the building, that was up to the municipality. So I'm sure it'll be part of that study, though. We'll be told if there's anything else that needs to be done, or recalibration of those during a specific time period. But
okay.
We need some physical help down by the middle school.
Yes. So will they, that study, is that actually a PennDOT study, or that's just Upper Hanover's engineering firm?
Actually, Jim Mazika's firm is doing it. They did
Okay.
the original one, of course, with approval from the township traffic engineer, Sandy Kozel.
Yep, I remember reading that. Been there. Okay. And then will any of that go to PennDOT? Will there be any determination? Because I know before it was deemed hazardous route. I mean, I know we put all the sidewalks and everything on, but.
Right, well, PennDOT had already ruled on the area and said with the determination was if we put the stop signs in, which were done, the sidewalks, that it was not considered hazardous.
Okay,
I can always ask them to relook at it, but it is, we did ask them, they already ruled on it, so I think we're fine. I don't think that's.
okay, good. Gee, this brings up so many memories from, it feels like forever ago.
It
But
does.
good, I'm glad. And are we done paying Breslin?
Well, it's getting close. We have it, they were helpful actually in getting Borough to come out the other day to visit the site because the stabilization of the facility had to be done and we weren't, obviously wasn't working on our end. Doug has an issue or two that he's speaking to them about or trying to get resolved that's in the buildings, not affecting these permits. But I have to say Breslin was very instrumental in making things happen. We're trying to end that relationship. Like been working with Jim Mazik in the traffic study. I said, Jim, we're going to you directly. Actually, when I spoke to Breslin maybe 2 months ago, he said, Jim's firm can do that. And I said, okay, well, Jim's firm did the original one. Arranged it. So we did go through them directly. In fact, we moved ahead. I don't even have technically his agreement yet, but it was part of the original approval of the middle school. It has to be done. So there really isn't a choice. We can't say, no, we're not going to have to.
Yep. Okay. So Doug's the one holding up the Breslin stuff. Got it.
Well,
If we sell off those Italian benches at the middle school on eBay, then we can probably pay them off.
Okay, I'm on that.
Those are a very nice benches. Very nice. Just kidding. Just kidding. Sorry.
Sore subject.
so pray for rain. We need rain.
For sure. Yep. Okay. We'll have to have a bucket brigade or something.
There you go.
Okay.
Fundraiser, right, Peg?
Yep. Bucket brigade bake sale.
Car washes and bake sales. Here we go.
Yep. Exactly. All right. Well, we'll move on to new business then. The high school roofing survey. Ouch. Again.
So no, there's no bad news here. I was finally able to track down our roofing rep and took all the information that I had inherited from Mr. Sheeran, and we spent a couple hours on the various roofs of the high school, basically roof system by roof system, understanding, what type of roof it is, when was it installed, when is the warranty up, how much life does it have on it, can we extend the warranty, do we want to go into a maintenance period, does it need, should it be replaced at some point, can it be recoated, etc. So that we're working on that sort of inventory or that schedule of roof assets at the high school, just to feed into our longer term capital planning process. There are a few roof systems there that their warranties are up in 2023. They were put in 2003, so they're 20-year warranties. So we're going to have to make some decisions on those as to an extension. There's really two options. You can extend the warranty, or you could put the roof under maintenance, and then there's multiple levels of maintenance, as I'm sure you can imagine. But I think there may be a need for some roofing work next summer. I'm trying to remember the roof that's over the 300 wing, possibly the 300 wing. When I'm up there, I get a little disoriented. But there's a roof section that looks like it's a prime candidate for a recoating, basically a cleaning and recoating that we want to look at, and then also the roofs they're nearing their end of their warranty period. So I'm expecting a report back essentially with their recommendations. There is one leak that I asked them to help me with, and it's been a thorn in my side. It's the one right as you walk in the athletics area and you look straight up in the vestibule there. There's an active leak, and they're confident that they can address that for me. So I'm just waiting on that proposal to get back. That roof system is not under any kind of warranty or any maintenance period. So but it was good to just familiarize myself with everything going on there, and then we have to replicate that process to 4-5 in Hereford and Marlborough. So
Okay, sounds like a plan. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay, I don't see anybody. All right, moving on to current RFPs, security guards. We'll start with security guards.
Yeah, so I will share my screen here real quick. We had issued a request for proposal for security guard services, unarmed security guard services for the next school year. And we were looking specifically for a guard that would, assume the post in the new vestibule at the high school. And then also a guard for, sort of roving patrol, if you will, at the high school and middle school. Those guards we also would target for traffic control to help us along Montgomery Avenue. And we were very specific in the RFP and said that, their early mornings and their afternoons would be, consumed with that detail. So these are the 4 responses that we got back. I only listed the next year's prices. I think we captured 5 years of pricing, 4 years, 5, 3.
Well, I think it's 3 additional, so.
3, right, it was current plus 3 additional. So we had 4 proposals come in. Those are the hourly rates. So the first column there is what they would charge us per hour for a guard to man the main entrance at the high school. The second column is we wanted an hourly rate for a guard that had either no or less than 5 years of police or military service. And then we also wanted to capture an hourly rate for a guard that would have more than 5 years of police and or military service. So you can see on the left-hand side of the blue line there, those are the rates that we got back from those 4 firms. On the right-hand side of the blue line, I just extrapolated those hourly rates out to an annual cost. I think I used 182 days, 8 hours a day. So for example, the first column to the right of the blue line is made up of 1 high school main entrance guard and then 2 less than 5 years police and or military guards. And you can see what that price is, or that extrapolated annual cost per proposer. And then if we wanted to require that the guards have more than 5 years of police and or military service, obviously that those guards are more expensive, except in the one case there with CSI, the pricing does go up on an annual basis. This will be a cost savings over what's in the budget. I have, I think, $200,000 in my budget. It was $30,000 for the high school main entrance guard, and then $170,000 for, it was actually 2 armed guards. And, we've since backed off from having the guards carry a firearm. So, depending on which way we go here, there could be anywhere from, a $75,000 savings to a $90,000 or close to $100,000 savings. So the next step in this process is to schedule probably Zoom calls with each of these firms and just understand their qualifications and their ability to supply the guards when we need them. Securitas is an international company. They're a very big security company. The others are relatively local, Telford and Huntington. I didn't have a chance to look up where Monaca, PA is.
Yeah, I don't know where that is either.
So if anybody wants to do.
Isn't that up by Scranton?
Is it? It may be. It may be. So we have to vet these and ultimately decide on a a security partner and then get those 3 folks in and up and running for the next school year.
Okay, I think it's near Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Beaver County.
Yeah,
It's Beaver County. Yeah.
Gotta love the internet too. Okay, all right, and then, I think you just said, but I'll just ask again. So those 4 companies actually had people? They actually have employees that they could send?
We assume so, but we haven't spoken to them. They proposed. So, you have to make the assumption that they can source the people.
Okay,
But we have to finish vetting their proposals.
okay, all right,
Melanie, I think it's because it's an 8-hour position. It's a lot
Oh.
easier, just like with advanced protection. They
Okay.
were easily able to place an 8-hour person in the building. It's just crossing guards.
couple hours and couple hours that kill you, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, yep, didn't think about that. Thanks, Sandy. All right, we'll move on to trash and recycling. Always a good
So-
topic.
Yeah, so the other two, so trash and recycling, I had participated on behalf of Upper Perk with a MCIU county-wide bid for trash and recycling. And long story short, the pricing came in quite high. In our case, I think it was about 50% more than we were currently paying. I personally attribute that to the specifications that the IU put forth in their RFP. They were, kind of onerous. For example, rather than just charge us per visit or per tip, they wanted these trash haulers to charge us by weight.
Oh,
Sanitizing the dumpsters, I think once a month, and all sorts of reporting. And it was, those specifications, the pricing reflected those specifications. I had actually also looped in the 4 Bucks County schools that we typically work with, and they participated as well. And their rates came back even higher than ours on a percentage basis.
wow.
So what we decided to do was to go out on our own and issue our own RFP, because our contract is up with Republic at the end of June, and our specifications were not that onerous. So we're hoping for better pricing. That's due on May 28th.
Okay,
Likewise with mowing and trimming, that's just Upper Perk. That is not a joint RFP. That is also due on May 28th. I've been in contact with at least
George, no.
oops,
three or four.
Sorry.
you okay?
No, out on the porch with my cat, and he went after a bird. I'm very sorry. I turned off my mic to ask a question, and then George all of a sudden, and so I didn't think to go, oh, let me turn this off while I yell at the cat.
I thought you were
No,
yelling.
no, not Dr. Bonnie-Kemper. Not Dr. Bonnie-Kemper. No. No, I love you. He's probably like, what's going on?
What I do?
I am so sorry. The
It's okay.
perils of eating outside. I'm so sorry. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
That's
So
the best part of that was that this is recorded.
That's right.
Oh, that's right.
We'll parse that out for the next board retreat.
Yep.
All right, everybody, counting down.
What are
3,
you doing?
2, 1.
So
Okay.
trash and recycling and mowing and trimming are both due May 28th. Obviously, we're having issues with our current mowing contract. Fortunately, it hasn't rained in a week and a half or so things have slowed down. I have identified a replacement contractor that's willing to pick up our work through the end of June. Got them set up in the system, requested a certificate of insurance, only to find out that their insurance levels fell short of what we typically require. So we're working through.
What happened to the company that we had or have? I mean, because I thought they were doing a good job, better than the company before them.
Yes. So the last year, we actually split the award. So we have a local company doing or mowing the Ed Center in Hereford, and then a second larger company mowing the other 4 schools. They also were mowing for O&J Roberts and I think 1 or 2 other schools. They did a nice job for us last fall. and they kind of fell on hard times this spring. They depend on workers from Mexico, and they can't get them here. They visa problems and things like that. They have normally run a crew in excess of 20 people, and I talked to them just last week, and they only have 3 people employed with their company right now. So they we kind of agreed to part as friends, and they just are unable to service our district, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's too bad. I thought they did a good job.
Yeah, overall they did. And they had that larger wing mower that could take care of the larger, expanses of the high school a little more quickly than just 0-turn mowers. So, but my staff has been kind of, filling in here and there. I am glad it hasn't rained, because that helps out. So hopefully we can get the insurance issues worked out with this other contractor and get them started next week. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Okay. And how did that come out for, just for pricing wise? Pretty comparable?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. There is a slight upcharge for their first cut, because some of the grass is so high that they actually have to do it twice.
Yeah. Okay.
But we've saved, it's sad, but we've saved a lot of money not having anything cut the last 4 weeks. That we're still going to come in actually fairly significantly under budget for the school year. So,
Okay.
I kind of like that they know that they just can't come down and cut it just once and, cut it too short and kill the grass. So that's encouraging.
It is,
lack of
and
a better term.
it's actually it's a former grad of like a 2008 grad, I think, of Upper Perk. So,
Oh, that's good. That's the one Steven gave you?
yes.
Good. I'll tell him that tomorrow. He'll be happy about that.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Questions, comments?
I had one other thing that I forgot to put on the agenda. My apologies.
Okay.
Just real quick, the hail damage chiller work at the middle school got started. They made the smaller coil repairs, and then they unboxed the 2 larger coils, and they were defective. They were bent, and before they even contacted me, they had already contacted their warehouse in Baltimore, and were shipping replacement coils that they had in stock. So they're probably next week they will commence for a second time to get that repair finished. And they actually found a small leak that was unrelated to the hail damage, and they fixed that under warranty. So
Good.
Yep.
Good. Okay. Well, that's good. Things are getting done. That's awesome. Eventually.
they are. It can be a struggle at times, as
Mm-hmm.
you
Yep.
don't expect the product to be damaged, but
Yeah.
they did
That's
the
a
right
shame.
thing and sent it back.
Good. All right. Anyone have anything else they want to talk about? Peg, I see you unmuted yourself. What you got?
Yeah, Doug, I was just curious on my list of things for you to do, where you are with the exterior lighting at the high school gymnasium entrance.
I actually have signage and lighting in the next school year's budget. And one of the things that Noresco is doing for us as part of the Giza is, once those exterior lights are upgraded to LED around the perimeters, they'll be able to give me light levels and things like that in the various areas, and we can see where we're deficient.
Great, thank you. And Melanie, do you think it would be possible and a good idea to make conversation about policy 707 on our agenda in the future?
Sure.
Kind of,
Do that.
it's facilities, so.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't think that, I figured you were doing it in policy, so.
Well,
Yeah.
there's crossover, so I'm wondering, maybe if this committee talks about it, we can vet that out pretty good because that one's going to be a tough one.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Okay. Well, maybe you and I can talk about offline, talk about what exactly we should be coordinating together.
Sure. Great. Thank
Okay. All right. Yep, that works for me.
All right.
Anyone
Peg, I can tell you that we've made some headway gathering similar policies from, I think we're up to 5 or 6 school districts at this point.
Oh,
So,
good.
Good. Good. Yeah, I got a couple to gather too, so we'll be in good shape.
Okay. All right. Mike, go ahead.
I'd say I look forward to the discussion, and I think it's appropriate that it happens here in facilities as well as in policy, because it is a two-folded sort of question, and I think that gives more of us a chance to have a proper input on some of the decisions that are facing us in the district at this time, especially when it comes to how we decide to support some of our youth programs here in the Valley. It's important questions.
Yeah, it's a big topic. Okay. All right. We're not having a June meeting, are we?
No.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Mm-mm.
That's what I thought. Okay. Anyone else have anything to share?
I have something to share.
Oh, okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Well, already then.
It may still be light out. You can get outside and go for a walk.
Absolutely.
Nice out. Peg, you want to second that?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. All right. Any discussion about that? And if not, all in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Have a
Have a
great
good
night,
night.
everybody.
Yep.
Bye.
See ya.